Morning everyone, and thank you Cara for that lovely introduction. I better live up to it now. So I'm just going to take you through this morning a little bit about us, so you know why I'm hopefully qualified to stand here and talk to you, and our relationship with Fresh, and some helpful hints on how you can help us do our job for Fresh Montgomery, because we're only able to do our job with your stories. Our PR is only as good as you, and that makes the show good. So we really need you to share with us. So I'm hoping after this talk this morning, we will have encouraged you greatly. So hopefully, if I get the buttons right, we will flick through. Oh, yes, Fine Food Fair. That has played a part in their journey at some point, whether for many years, for launch, coming back time and time again as their business has started out or grown. So it shows how important the fair is when you see established brands. The Bay Tree's been going over 20 years now, and speciality has played a part in that journey. So a little bit about where we come from at Monkhouse. We've worked with Fresh Montgomery for 4 years now. We love it. Every year we come back, it's a new project. We never get tired of it because you keep sending us your stories and your innovation. And the reason we love it is because we love food and drink. This slide here shows a little bit about my background, but you've got a picture of my dad in there making cheese. So my family have made cheese for nearly 70 years, and that's how I began my love of the food and drink industry. And cheese was all we talked about. Fortunately now, that's broadened slightly, but we still work with some great cheese brands, such as Snowdonia and Colston Bassett and other ones, but I do know about other things other than cheese and dairy. And I have a team of 6 equally fanatical food and drink girls in the office, back in Shropshire, my long journey having left at Hoppersford this morning. But we have to commute between London and Shropshire to make sure we're really up to date with what's going on in the world of PR and media. So that's a little bit about us. And I just picked one letter from the alphabet and shows just how many products there are out there with C. And we work with people in all of those areas, and there's probably producers in here today covering most of those as well. But I think that just highlights how much there is going on in this space at the moment and how many fantastic products there are. So now I'm going to talk about what we do and what PR is. I think my images are too big, so it's taking too long to go through. So we communicate brands and shows, obviously, with speciality. Only do it in the food and drink sector. We really understand our market. So we understand the pain that you're going through. We understand setting up a new business. Recapping on some of the comments from earlier this morning. Branding, packaging, presentation, getting a product on shelf. We know what that's been like, what that journey's been like. I've been doing this for 17 years now, with my own agency, so I've seen lots of you go through that pain. But it's worth it. When you get to speciality with your product, it will be worth it, I promise. And then what comes after will be as well. But effective communication plays a massive part in that. And what often happens in reality is PR gets forgotten. You spend your money on product development, packaging, all the other things, and you forget about PR. Now, you're really lucky with Fresh Montgomery, because not other shows don't necessarily do this. I don't think any do to the level that Fresh do, in terms of supplying you this free PR service through us. So make the most of it, because it really helps you in that journey to communicate your brand. Because however much great work you've done so far, you can't possibly sell your product if nobody knows about it. It can't be the best kept secret in your family or amongst your friends. We've got to get it out there for you, and speciality is the beginning of that journey. And one of the things that I think I might touch on later, but just to bring in now and back up what was said earlier this morning, is speciality is absolutely not just for 3 days. The minute you book your stand, your investment starts working for you. And it's a massive mistake if you only let it work for those 3 days and then question the investment. If you booked 6 months ago or you've just booked this week, make it work now and keep it working for you after the show in terms of follow-up. So don't waste all these opportunities that you're being given. So now a little bit about the opportunities. I thought I'd give you a few success stories that began their journey at speciality, because then you can see that this might be you in a few years' time. These are people we've specifically worked with, and I'm sure there's millions of other success stories, but I've just shown a couple. So if we're doing our job correctly, you might have heard of the foraging fox, beetroot ketchup. We met them, thank you very much Fresh Montgomery, through working on speciality. The reason we met them was because Frankie, one of the owners, kept ringing up and asking questions about PR, how she could get a brand out there, what she could do, and I gave her the time to explain. She came to this event, she put her hand up, asked lots of questions, talked to me afterwards, and because of that, she got in a lot of the show PR, because she learned how to make the most of it. And through that, we developed a relationship, and 2 years later, or maybe it's more now, we're still working with them. And that's great for us, and we've come on, really, without sounding cliched, come on the journey with them, all the pain and all the gain. So they kept returning to speciality because it played a really important part in their journey. As it says there, they've recently hit their 1,000th store. They're available on Ocado, they're available through UK distributors such as Cotswold Fair, and they're now exported to 7 territories. Exports account for just over 20% of their sales. That is a success story that began here. Also, another thing they do is enter lots of awards, and we help them with that. Entrepreneurial, food and drink, free from, great taste, which again was talked about earlier, that plays a big part at speciality. And awards are very valuable for your brand, but make sure that you shout about them. That's often a mistake that's made. You get them and don't tell anyone about them. Another success story, launched last year, Miniotti, an ice cream based on Jersey that's now available in Marks and Spencer's and Waitrose in Jersey. It's sugar-free, probiotic. It's now about to launch in Whole Foods, I think next week. Positive interest in China and a great taste star. So I'm just showing you those to show these could be you. Miniotti's only been going about 18 months, launched here last year, and Foraging Fox about 2.5 years. So that's the journey you're starting. But they used the show really positively, and they used everything that we're offering really well. So, what can you do to benefit from speciality support? Few questions, much like the sales presentations you had earlier. Same things, we're selling to journalists, you're selling to buyers, but ultimately we've all got to sell your product. So, key questions, who are you? What do you do? Why are you different? What's your product? What does it look like? What does it cost? What are the pack sizes? Has it yet won any accolades, such as awards? And can you buy it anywhere yet? We need to know all of these things, because if we don't know, we can't communicate for you. You might not have answers to all of them now, but we're getting information from you, and the ones that are sending us the most complete information will get the most PR, because we can work with it, we can do something with it. If we've got holes, for journalists specifically wants a photo, they specifically want to know the price, and you won't give that to us, we then can't do what we need to do for you. So give us as much as you possibly can. And then, a press release. We ask you to do a press release. So I'm going to answer your question, what is a press release? Because I know sometimes when you're starting out, you don't know. And I have to say, we could probably write a book on this, because we get many different versions of what press releases are, and yeah, can be interesting. So a little bit of guidance for you, and I'm not saying you're going to be like a PR agency. We do this day in, day out, but at least some guidelines. I put an example press release here. Again, I put Tiggs in because they're a brand who I'm not entirely sure, but I know they were here last year and they're coming back this year. They may have been here the year before, and we work with them. So another brand showing the value of speciality. So a press release is just 1 or 2 sides of A4. I don't need your entire life, just 1 or 2 sides of A4. 1 is fine. But it needs to have images, 1 megabyte minimum JPEGs, not tiny little shots. We can't do anything with them in the press. Short and to the point. Media require key facts. But when I say short and to the point, I do want a bit on your backstory. So those things about why you're different, what makes your product interesting, but you need to get them succinct so that we, when we're getting hundreds of these through in the office at the moment, we can whiz through them. I had a gentleman, I think he's just gone, I think one of his colleagues might be here now, from Ollie's Olives, and he's been sending information in. Now, the minute he came up to me at the show, I knew who he was because I've seen the information, it's made an impact on me, and I know it's gone into some of the PR, but that's because he sent things in a good, concise way. So that's just something to reflect on. We use this information to create our stories, and we can't create our stories without the information. And I know I keep repeating that, but it really is important, because we want to do a good job at Monkhouse for Fresh, and we can only do that if you help us. So what else? Now, I know I've got a few things that got added at the last minute, so I'm going to make sure that I don't miss them. Ad hoc fun and facts for social media. We're busy every day doing things on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and again, we need things to do that with, otherwise it's difficult to create stories, and we get the team from Fresh very cross with us if we don't put enough out on social media, so help us do our job. Product samples, yes please, you will be very popular with the office if we get those, but not just because we like trying great food and drink, but because if they come into the office, we can photograph them, we can put them on Instagram, we can taste them, so that when we're speaking to journalists, we genuinely know if they're good or not, and that again puts your product higher up the list than somebody else's. Take advantage of the free photography. Fresh again offer you another service that costs you nothing, and the deadline is the 7th of July, and the outcome is that you will have at least 1 great photo of your key product that we can use in PR, but you can also use in marketing literature, website, maybe your display at the show. So make the most of that and look out for the emails from Fresh. Respond to our specific media requests, and then you could be featured in the press. I think I say on the next slide, don't ignore us, because we are trying to help you when you see a Monkhouse email come in. And on that note, we've got a few press releases that we're specifically working on at the moment. The way we operate is we send out press releases regularly on certain topics to the general media across food and drink and exhibition and business. But we also have to respond to specific journalist requests if they're doing features. So coming up, we've got one on convenience. So anything you've got that's grab and go, convenience product, we're looking for those. We've also got a feature specifically for the Caterer magazine, which is aimed at hotels, operators, chefs. So anybody that's got a food service product or a product they think's for retail but has potential in food service, let us know about that. We're also doing something specifically for a halal publication. So anybody that's got halal products, we would like those. And we've got 3 features we're writing for different media in the farm, shop, deli and garden centre areas. So we're going out with things all the time, and we're trying to make each piece we do different and not go out with the same. Yes?
Will you be sending that as an email, all the categories or options?
Yes, send them in to us by email.
No, I mean, because I may not remember all the categories
Oh, I see, yes. What I can do, I will make sure that I'll talk to Fresh about making sure that goes out. But every time we have a particular piece, you will get an individual email saying we're doing a call out for information on products for food service. So just look out for our emails and we will be asking all the time. And then when I say press releases with us by the 18th of August, a few weeks before, that's because what we do is we set up a folder, a Dropbox folder, if any of you use that, and we categorise it all into sections: dairy, convenience, snacks, and then all the media that come to the show and the buyers, if they give us their details, they then have access to that after the show. And if we can have everything in a few weeks before, because we do get a mixed bag of press releases and we have to do a lot of sorting at our end so that they're in a format that buyers and journalists will want to use. So that's our deadline if you want to get information to us. And probably on deadlines, just to make you aware, we're writing all these articles at the moment. We've written lots already. We will have pretty much written everything by the end of July. There's some things that go out in August, but it's just to make you aware. Keep sending us. If your product's not ready till the middle of August, don't worry. We'll put it out on social. We'll do something with it. But the sooner we've got it, the more we can get it into. And hopefully, we'll get the last... Oh, quick reminders. So, don't ignore us. All social handles that are here, and I'm sure Georgie will go on about that, so I won't say too much, but just to remind you, tweet away, keep tweeting, Facebook, Instagram, help us with our job. That reminder that speciality is not just for 3 days. And the one other thing that, on the quick reminders, that was given to me last night as I was thought I'd finished what I was going to do today, was goodie bags. You may have had emails, or you should have done if you've been reading them, from us about goodie bags. Goodie bags are really valuable at the show. They go to buyers and VIPs, top media that we have, and so we're not wasting your product. We're putting it in good people's hands for you. We can't guarantee if they'll like it or not, but we're putting it in their hands. We do about just over 200 goodie bags. I think the precise number is 235. So we need that many products from you. What we're doing is we're asking for submissions. So if you're interested, let us know. We can only put, I think it's 10 or 12 products in the goodie bag. They obviously have to be ambient. We don't want chilled or frozen, and light. So if you've got a sample size, if your product's really big, so you need to think about that. And then we're slightly washing our hands of it this year, so you can't blame us if you're not in the bag. The chef, Steve Walpole, is going to make the final decision. If we get many submissions, we will shortlist, and then he will make the final submission. So don't come and shout at my team if you don't get in. He will make his decisions based on what he feels both chefs and retailers are looking for at the moment. But that's another opportunity for you. So please send things in. The deadline for that is the 21st of July, but there will be more reminders on that as well. And the last thing, it was interesting, I think somebody mentioned about journalists won't come and see you at the show. If we're doing our job, they will, hopefully. But like with buyers, they will only want a couple of minutes. We work very hard to set up media appointments with lots of media. I have my whole team down here, all 7 of us, working constantly doing media show rounds at the show. Some might give us 20 minutes, some might give us an hour, and they will say what they're interested in, and they will have made those judgments on what they've seen before. If we've got an hour and they want to see 10 producers, we can't spend 10 minutes with everyone, but it's great. We will do our best to get round the show floor as much as we can, and we will obviously have media coming through the press office as well. So if we know about your product, we can put you in the eyes of the journalists. If we don't, we can't. So my sort of final word is be prepared. I think that's what the other speakers have said. Make sure that speciality works for you and your business so that afterwards you're really, really pleased with the investment you've made. It's really down to you to make it work. Fresh are giving you the tools. It's over to you. So just to leave you with, Ros is here. She'll wave at you at the back. So you can collar her. Ros is the person in the office who will be on the end of the phone and responding to your emails. So make friends with her with your product. So those are our details. But I'm here. I've got to dash for a train at 1, back to Shropshire, to the farm. But I am here till then. Anyone who wants to ask any questions now or have a chat with me afterwards, please do. Thank you very much.